Hi, fellow trumpet slaves. Thanks for joining me today. I decided just in the spur of the moment this afternoon to try and record a couple more of the Pottag etudes, these little solo pieces in this a very challenging little book. And this is number 75. It's entitled Allegretto, and you can look up the Italian word if you don't already know it. I'm just going to go ahead and play this. And then I'll probably need to practice it, so then we'll get down to work. Okay, I know the first thing I need to work on, and when we're practicing, you might call it triage. You need to look at the patient, that would be you, and see what needs to be addressed first. And sometimes that's difficult to figure out. So you just start with the musical results. So I heard the musical results. I wasn't particularly pleased with them in terms of that rapid articulation that's jumping around. Now, we're playing those little figures, those little arpeggiated figures. Let me practice a little bit. I'm just looking at the third bar now. I'm going to do it slowly, a good way to start practice. I don't like the flow feel because I'm thinking too much about ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. And I notice that a lot of players have this problem. So if you've been watching my videos, you know. The first thing I do is I try and find the flow through. So I'm going to go ahead and buzz it and just very loosely get to the pitches. So that's working okay. It's got a nice loose feeling of flow to it. What happens when I start tonguing? Now I feel myself kind of choking. So I need to figure out how to use the tongue in order to pronounce the notes exactly the way I want to musically, and interrupt the airstream, but gracefully so that I don't break the flow. That sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Don't break the flow, just interrupt it, but keep blowing through the articulation. So I'm getting some ghosting on the notes. Of course, buzzing's not playing the trumpet. It's very different. So I'm going to go back to playing the trumpet and see if I can just find the flow on the trumpet. So one of the first things I'll do is, if it feels good slower, then I speed it up a little bit. And if I start to feel tight, maybe a little choking, maybe my hands and my fingers are getting tight, or I feel my lips getting a little bit tight, starting to pinch the air, I'll just go slow again. Oh, that second group of 16ths, that has a different shape than the first one. So I've got the first one. Starting to feel a little bit better now. So, but I'm not there because I haven't started tonguing yet. So I might go to the opposite extreme and see if I can get that same loose feeling of flow. And this time I'm going to do staccato notes instead of all slurred. That feels pretty good. I think that's because my tongue gives me a little bit of control. So now I'm just blowing and touching with the tongue, blocking the air, and now I'm releasing that tongue very quickly and then replacing it. So that gives me a staccato, a separated note, a short note in this case, but it gives me a feeling of control. So we're always looking for control, but we're also looking for musical quality. So I'm going to put all those ingredients together. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I'll do it slowly. First the second full bar, which is the first group. Now I'm starting to get tight when I combine the slurring with the tongue. Really interesting. Now I'm starting to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to force the air a little bit when I go back and forth between. I start to push against the resistance of the tongue, and now I'm kind of forcing the air and I lose the balance and I get out of the flow of it. Now I just talked about it. It's kind of complicated, but it's a feel thing and a sound thing, and you can all do this. You just have to start slow enough and then come back and do the necessary work. The object here is almost all the time, sometimes musically even and mentally, even when you're not doing it physically, you need to maintain a line, a musical connection, a sense of direction, a path, a curve that goes through all of the music from the first time you start playing until you're done playing. You're always ready to keep going in the music, so it's a kind of engagement with the music itself. We're just working on technical details now, or at least I was. I hope that you'll do the same. But the goal is to get to the point where there are no breaks in the music, no distractions for the listener. They're constantly carried by the musical idea. So it was a little rough going through, so I'm going to go to the più molto, a little faster, middle section, and see how if I can get that to be a little clearer now that I've practiced it a little bit. Ooh, now that wasn't too bad, except the end I was pretty uncomfortable. And I realized, oh yeah, I'm playing pretty loose until I start crescendoing, and especially crescendoing and going into the low register. And I started to push that air too hard. So now I'm kind of overblowing my chops, blowing into the wrong area of the instrument. It's not balanced anymore. So I'm going to practice that with flow. This one is a little bit low on the A flat. I constantly have to lift it up a little bit, so I'm going to have to see my brass tech and see what we can do about that. It's not right in the slot. The slot's a little bit low. So I can still play it because I can put the notes anywhere I want to. And this is something to practice. You may have noticed earlier, I'll just mention this as an aside for those of you who may have been watching carefully. I wasn't using my third valve slide to play the C sharps. And that gets into a whole other area of skill. So what I did is I practiced it. Now I'm going to the beginning of the second line. So that's not perfectly in tune, but it's close enough so that it won't disturb the ear of most listeners unless they're listening with great intensity, because it goes by very quickly. and it makes it much easier if I'm not doing the pattern with the slide. So I'm going to do the pattern with the slide, as most of you know. So it's dee da da dee, has to come back in for the F sharp, ba da da dee da, and then out again for the C sharp on the way back. You try that. If you haven't already done it, just try it. Just take that bar. That's a great finger exercise. And you can practice it with just, wow, that's difficult. Your fingers need to be conditioned until they can act in a very, very quick, agile, and intentional, definite way without getting too tightened up, without feeling like you're grinding a little bit. And a lot of that is just physical conditioning of the fingers, which I'll admit I don't spend a lot of attention paying to in my paying attention to, a lot of time paying attention to it in my normal practice routine. And that's my fault. But an easy way to do it is just take one bar like that that's particularly awkward. Now you can do that dee da 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 da, and incorporate the valve, the slide rather, as part of the fingering, which is what you should do. So if you were playing that more slowly, see, some of you might have to trigger the low F sharp. If you do, probably not as much as the low C sharp. Okay, so now it's getting very complicated. And I don't like complicated because it's too hard. So I start out, can I play it in tune without using the slides? Now, not all of you are going to be able to do that. It's going to be too awkward. It will maybe cause you to tighten up. And if that's the case, don't do it. It's got like the old joke, Doc, it hurts when I do this. And the doctor laughs and says, oh, well, don't do that. So if it causes pain and dismay, don't do it. Make it simpler until it's easy, and then you'll start to make a little bit of progress. Okay, I think that's enough work on this today. There's an awful lot more that could be said, as you know if you've been watching my videos. And someone recently commented that nowadays people only have 1 minute attention span due to shorts on TikTok and YouTube and so forth. And that's too bad, because it takes a lot more attention span in order to play real music. So I encourage you all to aspire to maintaining your engagement with whatever music you're playing. And it's great exercise for your brain. Go and do that work, which is actually a very enjoyable, satisfying experience. And I'll see you the next time you have a few moments to spend. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.